The land explored by our ancestors extends from the Altai to the White Sea. The scientific expedition, Trails of Nomads, continues to unveil the path of our forefathers. A group of scientists, led by a pilgrim of the 21st century, Sapari Skakov, has already visited more than 40 countries. Scientists reveal the exciting secrets of the past. Watch the amazing story of a great journey in the Trails of Nomads program. Today's Trails of Nomads program presents Zhalantos Bahadur, Kazakh. What facts confirm this? How did Salkam Jangir and Zhalantos Bahadur defeat the 50,000 army of the Jungars? What is special about Sherdor and Tilyakori Madrasa? Madrasa in the center of Rajasthan. The scientific expedition continues its work in Uzbekistan. This time, scientists will explore historical monuments and study the facts concerning the history of the Kazakhs in the cities of Samarkand and Bukhara. Particularly, they will focus on the deeds of the famous Batur Zhalantos Bahadur. Zhalantos Said Kululi is called the last Asian tiger. He's buried near Samarkand in the Dagbed, wintering near his idol Mahdumi Agzam. The great commander of the Great Steppe was born in 1576 on the banks of the Sirdarya River in the Nurata area near the modern city of Kizlochda. In 1656, at the age of 80, Zhalantos Bahadur died in Samarkand. His real name is Abdi Karim. Zhalantos also means with an open chest. This is how he attacked the enemy, showing courage. We're standing near the grave of Zhalantos Bahadur. Batur lived between 1461 to 1542. He's buried next to one of the founders of Sufism, Mahdumi Agzam. Zhalantos Bahadur considered him his idol and teacher and bequeathed to be buried near him. And during his life, he indicated the exact place for this. He chose a place near the entrance. The Shahs of Iran, Afghanistan, and the rulers of the countries of Central Asia also rest here. His assistants, viziers, and beloved son Sultan Bek are buried next to Zhalantos Bahadur. Zhalantos Bahadur comes from the Tokhtar clan of the Ali-Muli tribe of junior Jews. In his childhood, he visited Samarkand. Abdullah II specially invited his father Said Kulhan of Bukhara to assist in the fight against enemies. A group of Kazakhs went together with him. Eventually they settled in these places. Zhalantos always sought knowledge. He was trained in the Mirarab Madrasa in Bukhara and in the Imam Ghazali Madrasa in Baghdad. He spoke fluently in Uzbek, Persian, and Arabic. To study the art of war, the Kokturk heritage, he entered the military leaders' training center. There, he met Bukhara's future Khan Imankul. They became best friends. After completing the school, Zhalantos Bahadur received the title of Tumen Base. Later, he became the Bey of his tribe, but not for long. Imankul invited a friend to live in the Bukhara Khanate. There, he was actively involved in public affairs, contributed to Imankul's accession to the throne, and subsequently became commander-in-chief.
Он состоял на службе у бухарских ханов, нескольких бухарских ханов, и был, оказывается, в должности аталыка.
During the rule of several khans, he took the post of Atalık. This is a very high status. It can be compared to the status of the prime minister, that is, the second person in the state after the khan. He carried out a responsible mission together with the well-known rulers of Bukhara. It was in the period of the famous Khan Imankul. Imankul once wrote a letter to the Russian Tsar Mikhail Romanov in which he proposed to unite efforts in the struggle against the Dzungars. In case of agreement, it was proposed to send an army with experienced warriors led by the authoritative commander Jalantos Bahadur. This indicates a special reverence for the Batar in the Bukhara Khanate.
Это значит, как союзнику, большое войско во главе с самым опытным полководцем, это Бахадуром Ялантушем.
Bukhara Khanate, a state in Central Asia founded by Khan Shaiban. It existed from the 16th to the early 20th centuries. Samarkand was the capital of Khanate until 1560, when Bukhara replaced it. The Shaibani, Astrakhan, Mangid dynasties ruled in the Khanate over the years. During the reign of Imankul from the Ashtarkhani dynasty, the state administration system became more complex. New posts appeared, such as Atalik, to which Jalantos Bahadur was appointed. At that time, Hiva and Iran led protracted wars. In all these battles, Jalantos Bahadur was at the head of the army. He always returned with a victory. Over his 80 years, he fought 42 times and always won. That is why he was called the last Asian tiger. It was a very brave man. He went against the enemy without any protection. He did not wear military equipment, neither a helmet nor a chain mail. He studied the art of military leadership in a special military school. He was a fair commander and a good diplomat. If he promised mercy, he always kept his word. He never punished those who surrendered without resistance. Moreover, he knew how to entice the warriors of the enemy to himself, creating favorable conditions for them. He ensured land and housing to these people. Sometimes he managed to resolve military conflicts without shedding blood. Jalantos Bahadur maintained a close relationship with the Kazakh Khans and called for other rulers of Bukhara to do so. He was the initiator of the peace agreement between the Khans, Yasim and Imankul. In one of these agreements, he made efforts to temporarily transfer Fergana and Tashkent into the possession of the Kazakh Khanate for 200 years. Jalantos Bahadur was friends with Yasim Khan. Later, he had friendly relations with his son, Salkam Jangir. In 1643, in the famous Battle of Orbulak, Jalantos Bahadur and Salkam Jangir combining forces delivered a crushing blow to the Dzungar army. On the eve of the battle, the Dzungarian military leader Batyr Hontaishi, with 50,000 warriors, defeated the Kyrgyz and captured 10,000 prisoners. Obsessed with the victory, he intended to demolish the cities and villages of Jetsu. Salkam Jangir, with only 600 soldiers in command, was the first to deal against the many thousands of Dzungar troops. But these were experienced Kazakh Batyrs. Thanks to skillful military tactics, they managed to win. They met the enemy with poisonous smoke and poisoned arrows. Within 3 days, 600 brave Kazakh soldiers resisted the whole army. By the end of the third day, Jalantos Bahadur arrived with a 20,000 army to help. Dzungars were defeated. More than 10,000 enemy soldiers were killed on the battlefield. There has never been such a bloody battle in history. The Kazakhs managed to win thanks to the ancient military tactics of their ancestors, Kok Turks.
Бұлар жауға шапқан уақытында ұран татып шығады. Оған қосылып, сол кезде біздің бабаларымыз мынау барабандарды қосқан, сырнайларды қосқан, қобызды қосқан. Барабандарды үлкен мысалы дауыспен мысалы ұрған уақытында
Our ancestors always attacked the enemy with a call to victory. They beat the drums. Kobys and sirna sounded. All this lifted the spirits of the warriors. The enemy was at a complete loss. Marshal Zhukov used the same tactic during the Second World War. During the attack of Berlin, special sirens were mounted on all the tanks. So did Suvorov in his time. Jalantos Bahadur was the first to introduce such techniques in battles.
үлкен дауысты не қойған? Громкоговоритель, сирена, кәдімгі зарылдаған дауыс. Енді осындай тактикалардың әдістері толып жатыр. Енді оны әрбір елдің қолбасшылары олар білу керек. Соның біреуі мысалы мына Суворов, орыстардың қолбасшысы. Сол біздің бабаларымыз Jalantos Bahadurдың қолданған әскери әдістерін ол да өзінің армиясына қолданған.
After the Battle of Orbulak, alliances were established between the Kazakh and Bukhara Khanates. And after the death of Imankul Khan, his post was taken by brother Nadir Muhammad. However, Jalantos didn't like new ruler and his despotism. Therefore, taking him away from power, he put his son Abdulaziz, who was the son-in-law of Salkam Jangir, to the throne. It was one of the ways to bring the Bukharians closer to the Kazakhs. And this was done. In 1646, a large Kurultai took place in Tashkent. Both sides intended to make a campaign against the ruler of India, Aurangzeb. Based on the agreement, Abdulaziz Khan, Salkam Jangir and Jalantos Bahadur were to free the southern possessions of the Bukhara Khanate from the enemy. The current descendants will not forget the exploits of the great ancestors. Members of the expedition met Kazakhstan citizens at the grave of the Bahadur.
Bir топ жолдастар кәсіпкерлер болып Ақтөбе, Алматы, Астанадан осы жаққа келіп.
We are entrepreneurs from Almaty and Aqtobe. We're here in Samarkand to read the prayer on the graves of our ancestors. We know feats of outstanding Jalantos Bahadur and would like to receive his blessing. I would urge the young to follow our example.
Жерде сәлем айтатын енді әрине мұнда келу керек, жастар көру керек, біз тарихымызды білу керекпіз.
He lived here, defended the city, built it, erected several buildings, mausoleums. Therefore, Kazakhs need to come here. As the descendants of the great ancestor, we should read the prayer at his grave and know the history. Jalantos Bahadur was engaged not only in military affairs and state administration. He built beautiful palaces and madrasas, developed science, education, and religion. He built a memorial complex to honor his teacher, Mahdumi Agzam. There were mosques that had many domes and minarets. Today, tourists and pilgrims can visit one of the existing mosques. Upon entering, they are met by a great four-trunk tree, which is more than 600 years old.
В 1618 году
In 1618, Jalantos Bahadur built the memorial complex of Mahdumi Agzam, 10-12 kilometers away from the present-day Samarkand in the village of Dagbet. In the Islamic world, only 3 people were granted the status of Agzam. They first lived in the 9th century. The founder of the Hanafi Madhab, Imam Agzam Abu Hanifa. The second lived in the 11th century, the philosopher Abdul Qadir Gilani. And the third, in the 16th century, philosopher Mahdumi Agzam. Many Khans and commanders of the East considered him their teacher. Jalantos Bahadur, who has a special place in history, is among them.
В 16 веке, значит, это был Махдуми Азам.
After reading a prayer in memory of the great ancestors at the grave of Jalantos Bahadur in the complex of Mahdumi Agzam, members of the expedition went to the central part of Samarkand. In ancient times, the city was called Afrosiab, Marakan. In 1212, Genghis Khan raided the city. Later, a new settlement named Samarkand appeared here. In the 14th century, the city was ruled by Emir Timur, who founded own state here. He intended to make Samarkand the capital of the world. Getting acquainted with the city of the Emir Timur, the members of the expedition read the prayer here too. After Temür Emir, Samarkand flourished during the reign of his grandson Ulugh Beg. During this period, special attention was paid to the education and construction of religious schools. The Ulugh Beg madrasa, built from 1417 to 1420, is among them. Now it is a part of Uzbekistan's image, the Registan ensemble. Earlier, before the Mongol invasion, there was a center of trade. Now it is a place of pilgrimage for tourists. Registan in Persian means sand area. Earlier, solemn meetings were held here. There was a big market. Trade caravans arrived. In the 15th century, during the reign of Ulugh-Beg, this place was a center of culture and architecture. The largest madrasa was built here. Emir Timur and Ulugh-Beg made a huge contribution to the development of Eastern civilization and Samarkand. Exactly the same contribution was made by Jalantos Bahadur. He initiated the construction of two complexes of the architectural ensemble Registan. The first one is Sher Dor Madrasa, opposite the Ulugh-Beg Madrasa. Sher means lion, Dor, higher education institution. It was originally called the Madrasa built by Jalantos, but later it became known as Sher Dor, an educational institution built by a lion. Construction of this facility began in 1619 and was completed in 1636. 3,000 people took part in the construction.
Вот это здание строилось, представьте себе, 17 лет, да, долгостроя. Из-за того, что Бахадыр Ялантош,
According to some historians, the protracted construction was entailed by the fact that the money for this was allocated not from the state treasury but from own funds of Jalantos Bahadur. The commander used all his income for construction. His example was contagious. Others looked at him and did the same. For example, a resident of Samarkand named Kaji Muhammad Katangu provided an educational institution with meat and food for 17 years. He was popularly called as Nag's heir, a real man. Jalantos Bahadur ordered to bury him in the Registan complex after his death. This speaks of Jalantos Bahadur's attitude to the patrons of education and science. The construction of the Sher Dor Madrasa was carried out by the architect Abdul Jabbar. Another architect, Muhammad Abbas, was responsible for the facade of the building, which was decorated with multicolored mosaic tiles. Each pattern meant some kind of philosophical thought.
Медресе Шердор, да, уровень его.
The front of the Sher Dor Madrasa is similar to the Ulugh-Beg Madrasa. However, there is a slight difference in size. Sher Dor Madrasa is 30 centimeters shorter than Ulugh-Beg Madrasa. Jalantos Bahadur was asked why he did not make it taller or at least the same level. The Bata replied that it would not matter if the madrasa built by him was taller or shorter than the Ulugh-Beg madrasa. The main thing was that his respect for this person will always be higher. In the upper part of the madrasa, one can see a tiger preparing to attack a deer and a man with sun head above it. These drawings also carry deep philosophical thoughts. The lion and the tiger have always been considered a symbol of courage, bravery, and power. But in Samarkand, these animals personify knowledge and science. Generally, there are two similar madrasas. They are the Sher Dor built by Jalantos Bahadur, and the second is the Nadir Divan Begi Madrasa, built in the 30s of the 17th century. They were erected competing, and Sher Dor was recognized as major madrasa. Therefore, Nadir Divan Begi Madrasa is called the small Sher Dor. Having completed the construction of the Sher Dor Madrasa, Jalantos Bahadur started to build the Tilyakori Madrasa. This is the third part of the architectural ensemble of Registan. Its construction began in 1646 and completed in 1660. Jalantos Bahadur died in 1656. Therefore, his distant relative and student named Bekul was engaged in the construction over the last 4 years.
Тилё означает золото, кор – отделка, то есть отделано золотом внутри.
Tilya means gold, decorated with gold. In fact, the Tilyakori Madrasa is decorated with gold inside. That's very beautiful.
И появляется единый ансамбль Регистан с тремя строениями.
Tilyakori Madrasa amazes visitors with its architecture. Huge areas assembling space, a kind of human desire for Allah. Jalantos Bahadur, who was already many years old, wanted to complete construction quickly and made a lot of efforts for this. According to some reports, he visited the construction site twice a day. During the Jalantos Bahadur period, people lived in a peaceful time. When he reigned, no enemy dared to set foot on his land. He had an influence on the development not only of the Uzbeks, but of the whole Central Asia. He made a particularly great contribution to the development of education and the fight against illiteracy. Today's descendants remember their great ancestors. There are several monuments of Jalantos Bahadur in Kazakhstan. In April 2018, on the eve of the 375th anniversary of the Battle of Orbulak, another important place appeared in the South Kazakhstan region. In the Kazakurt region along the Shymkent-Tashkent highway, the Batyr Babalar Memorial Complex was opened with the sculptures of Batyrs Salkam Jangir and Zhalantos Bahadur. Many Kazakh people gained knowledge, mastered the methods of government and foreign languages in the madrasas built by Zhalantos Bahadur. One of them was Aitkebi, a cousin of Zhalantos. Watch the next episode to learn about this. The work of the scientific expedition Trails of Nomads in Uzbekistan continues.